Hello everyone! What the hell?
The library is a magical but underutilised and underappreciated service in our society. It's a place where you can find comfort, adventure and yourself. But we live in a society obsessed with shiny, new aesthetic things, and pre-read books wrapped in plastic don't make the cut. I'm on a mission to reduce my carbon footprint and overconsumption and support my local community by making the most of this wonderful service available to me. Welcome to the Library Diaries.
Hey everyone, it's Fion and welcome back to my channel. Croeso ni chroesnol I fy sianel a croeso i'r ddyddiadur llyfrgell episode 4. I don't know if that was correct, but what I was trying to say is welcome to the Library Diaries episode 4. So in this episode I'm actually going to be picking up 2 books because I recently finished The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent and I absolutely loved it. And I went into a bookshop almost immediately afterwards to pick up the next couple in the series. But the next one is actually an optional novella, and then there's another full-length novel, which they had the full-length one, but not the optional novella. So I've had a look on the library website and they actually do have that one. So I'll be picking up that one, but I'm also going to do my usual routine, strategy, system, I don't know, of randomly number generating a book off my 2-access TBR and then seeing if it's available at the library. So I have got a, let me get rid of that, number generator here, and it's got 4 to 334 because that's how many are on my list, and generate 156. So let me see what that is. I Fell in Love with Hope by Lankali. I think that might be a poetry collection, which is interesting. It's available and it's available in paperback. The Carissa Broadbent one is hardback only, but as it's a novella I don't mind so much. Maybe it's not poetry. Okay, well they have it, so there we go. I'll be picking up 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent and I Fell in Love with Hope by Lankali. I just read the synopsis for I Fell in Love with Hope and I don't know if I'm ready. Let me read it to you. Against the unforgiving landscape of a hospital, I fell in love with the mischievous, sun-eyed boy who became my only joy in that desolate place. That's what made it all the more soul-crushing when he committed suicide in front of me. Since then, I've sworn never to love anyone again, with 3 exceptions. My friends Sony, Neo and Sir. I will Google how to pronounce that. A little gang of rebellious dying kids. Before death inevitably knocks down our doors, my thieves and I have one last heist planned, a great escape that will take us far from abusive parents, crippling loss, and the realities of our diseases. Sounds like I'm in for a ride. Okay, I'm glad this didn't happen last week when I was feeling very fragile myself. I'm feeling a lot better again this week, so I think I can be in the mindset to read this book. And I hope so. Oh my god, I got home from work today and I worked a half day. I got home like early afternoon and for the first time this year I went to the garden and I read outside and I just lay there and I read for hours and it was so beautiful. When I tell you I am so excited for outside reading season. And it's here! And I hadn't finished a book yet this month. It's the 11th of April today, so I was like, but I was reading 3 books and I finished 2 of them tonight. So now I was like, what do I want to read next? It's time. It is time. And although I only read the first book last month, I don't feel like I really remember anything that happened. But I believe this is about totally different characters, so I don't think that matters. But I'll soon find out. I'm hoping if it does matter, then they'll kind of like do a recap and it'll come back to me. But I'm going to start this now. I'm so excited about it. Okay.
I really like Carissa Broadbent's writing. I think she's a wicked writer. I've only read one book by her, but I just devoured it, and then this first chapter, I'm just like straight in. So good. I thought this book was 211 pages, but it's 154. So I am right at the end. I literally have 9 pages left, but I just read something that literally made me go, and if I'm right about what I think I just read, then that is crazy. So I'm going to finish this book now. Wowzers, trousers. I liked it.
It's been a while. I finished this one pretty much 2 weeks ago. Well, maybe like 10 days ago. And I had every intention of coming on that day and giving my thoughts, but then I forgot. And then I went on holiday and I read whole of the book, but I'm ready. And I think I can pretty much still remember everything. So in this book we're following Lilith, and basically she's a human living in a vampire's world, and she's trying to find a cure for an illness that has been affecting a lot of the humans in her life, and that's kind of all I want to say on it. These characters are completely different to the characters in the first full book in the series, and for that reason I definitely don't think it's necessary to read this. Like, it's marketed as an optional novella, and I definitely agree with optional, but I don't know if it's kind of introducing characters that will come back later in the series. I can't answer that yet, but I loved this, and straight away I got into it, and I think that just shows that I clearly gel really well with Carissa Broadbent's writing, which is exciting. As soon as I started it, I was like in and mixing really well with it, which was really cool. I think this is, I'm out of breath, why? I think this would be a really good kind of starter into Carissa Broadbent's writing if you want to try her out but you're not keen on going into a full series, or even just you're not sure about starting the length of the first book, because the first book is well over 500 pages. This is less than 200, but in my opinion it's a really good reflection of her writing and her storytelling. The plot was really interesting. Like I say, it was different to the other book. The only similarities really are that it's the same world and the same politics, but the characters are not the same, the plot lines are not the same. I don't really know if like it's chronological, as in, is this taking place after the first book? It could have been before, it could have been during, I don't know. But I think the reason I don't know that is because it's not necessary. Like, they didn't provide that information because you don't need to know. It's its own kind of separate thing. And like I say, I really liked it. My only kind of slight criticism for me is that there was, I think, only one, if memory serves, but quite an explicit sex scene, which was a bit much for me. However, people reading romantasy, generally speaking, really quite enjoy spice. So I can't fault the author for that. She's given the people what she wants. I'm just not the people. But that was reflective of the first book for me as well, in that I'm sure there was only one in that book too, but it lasted a very long time. Surprise, surprise, got cut off. But long story short, really liked it. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. Yeah, so like I said, I have since read a whole other book. It took me about 2 weeks. So maybe it has been 2 weeks since whatever. I'm about to start, what is this called? I Fell in Love with Hope by Lan Carley. To be honest, I'm not sure I'm in the mood for an angsty, emo, edgy teenage story, but that's what I've got. I think that's what I'm gonna get. So I'm just gonna go into it open-minded and see what happens. I'll see where it goes, and I will update you with future thoughts. Also, I googled how to pronounce that name immediately after I filmed that clip where I selected this book, and it's Cœur. So just to throw that out there. And it's the French translation for heart. Okay. So I'm a little over halfway through, and I just don't know where I stand with this right now. I think part of me wants to DNF it, and it's not that I really want to DNF it, but it's that I'm reading it and I'm like, I'm not bothered. But I don't know if that's more that I really wanted to finish this today or tomorrow, and I know I'm not going to now, so I'm kind of like, oh well, what's the point then? I should just give up, because and just start reading the other book that I really wanted to read this month, which I'm not going to be able to do if I don't finish this ASAP, because the month's about to end. So that's, I think, part of it, because also then I'm trying to force myself to read more than I really want to so that I can finish it. But I'm also like, I think it's going to be like a 3-star read if I do finish it. So should I? I don't know what to think. Like, this book, there are parts, there's been 1 or 2 chapter ends that have been really good and I've wanted to keep going. But for the most part, I am not finding myself wanting to keep the pages turning. This is so hard to read at times. It has so many trigger warnings. It's heavy, and it's just, a lot of the stuff is just difficult to read. But those are people's lived experiences, so should I shy away from it? Probably not. But also, escapism. Is this what I want? I don't know. So our main character, Sam, who, by the way, I don't think, I realised this probably like 50 pages ago, I don't think has ever been given a pronoun, because it's all just I, me. But I've always thought of them as a girl, but I don't know if that's correct. I do have some ideas about who this character might be at a deeper level, but I don't know if I'm overthinking it. But Sam has lived in the hospital for their whole life. They're terminally ill, but we don't know why. They don't have any family or home outside of the hospital, so everyone they know is hospital staff or patient, right? And they've like built up a community and a group of really good friends in the hospital, but obviously all of those other children are pretty poorly as well. And that's another thing, I don't know how old these characters are, because there are scenes where I feel like they're 13 and then there's other scenes where I feel like they're 17,
and I have no idea which one of those is right, if either. So I think sometimes they read a little bit irritating to me and infuriating, because I'm like, you're being so immature right now. But then if they're 13 years old, can't really argue with that, can I? I have a lot of mixed feelings. I'm not really articulating any of them very well. I just don't know what to think. But basically, yes, so many trigger warnings. Terminal illness, a plethora of mental health situations, including, well, good, but mostly bad mental health. But ED, SH, low self-esteem, there's just so much going on. And then death is constant. It's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and it's not always that nice to read. And like I was saying about the ages, it's YA. I think that when I was in my worst kind of periods of mental health personally, in my teenage years, I might have quite really enjoyed this and found it quite like poetic and beautiful in the way it was written and portrayed. But I do worry that I might have romanticised it a little bit. And I don't mean in terms of the romance, because there is romance in this book, but the struggles and the tragedy. And I don't want to have been doing that. So I don't know. Obviously I didn't read it when I was younger, so I can't comment on how it would have made me feel. But that's a kind of concern that I might have now, thinking of younger readers reading it who are probably the target audience. I don't know. These teenagers though, these children, teenagers? I don't know, are kind of rebelling against the situations they find themselves in and the limitations their diagnoses have put on their lives. And they're trying to navigate that and rebel against it and make their own memories and make their own meaning in life. So in that way it is nice, but I'm not hating it, but I'm definitely not loving it either. Ramble over. Also, I have this book called The Boy Lost in the Maze by Joseph Colho. This is a poetry book that I'm reading for uni. It's from the library, that's why it's here, but I am not reading it for my own enjoyment. And as a side note, I'm thoroughly not enjoying it. So that's all I'll say about that, but because I think it showed in one of my previous clips, just to clarify. I've watched a film like this before. I did the same as usual and waited several weeks to come on and give my final thoughts on this after I finished it. And honestly, I don't really remember anything I had to say, or at least anything additional from the end. So it obviously didn't really leave a lasting impression. I do know some of the things that I said in the last clip and they still stand, so I'm not going to repeat those now. The only kind of new information for me is that I was right in my prediction about the protagonist's true identity, but I don't really have any feelings about that. It's just like, okay. Yeah, I think I settled on a 3-star rating for this. Might have been a 3 point something, but I think it might have just been a straight 3. But that's a wrap on episode 4 of the Library Diaries. If you have watched all the way to the end, comment any flower emoji to match the flowers on this cover, and I will see you next time. Bye!